This video will go through the higher level only key concepts of Unit 2.4 Motivation and Demotivation. There's a separate video covering the concepts for Unit 2.4 that both higher level and standard level students will need to know. This video will look at more motivation theories, labor turnover, recruitment, and appraisal. First, let's start with the motivation theories, of which there are 4 that you need to know in addition to the 3 that you have already learned in the standard level course. McLennan's acquired needs theory focuses on the idea that an individual's motivation depends on their needs. Some employees have a need for achievement, meaning they strive for high-quality work. Some employees have a need for power and care about their status and level of decision-making in the organization. Finally, some employees have a need for affiliation, and they care more about building harmonious relationships with their colleagues in the firm. Deci and Ryan's self-determination theory believes that people are intrinsically motivated, meaning that there is no external reward driving people. Their own self-growth is what drives them. Deci and Ryan stated that if employees had 3 factors, they could be motivated. The first is autonomy, which focuses on an employee's ability to make their own decisions and do things their own way. Next is relatedness, which has to do with an employee's desire to be connected with others and feel like they belong at the firm. And finally, competence means employees feel like they can handle the work given to them. Adams' equity theory states that employees will be equal when their inputs are equal to their outputs. The idea here is that employees' inputs, in other words, the time and effort they put into the work, should be roughly equal to their output, what they get out of the work, including their pay, recognition, relationship with colleagues, and more. Finally, Vroom's theory focused on the idea that employees were motivated by expectations of the results of their efforts. Vroom stated that employees needed to believe they could complete a task, and they then consider whether completing a task would result in them getting closer to their desired reward. If this value, called instrumentality, is high, employees will feel motivated to complete a task, and if not, they won't. This is called valence, and employees need positive valence to feel like they want to complete a task. This is a particularly important topic that comes up more frequently on in-class assessments and the final IB exam, and can be challenging to respond to. For higher-level students, you are guaranteed a question relating to motivation theories in your paper 3. For more details on these motivation theories, how to apply them in your responses, check out our review video on this topic on our website. Next up, we have recruitment, which looks at the various steps a firm takes to hire an employee. When a role needs to be filled, the HR team will have to prepare job analysis, which is a process that involves understanding what a particular job involves. This is then used to create the job description, which is a document showing applicants what is expected of them in this role. The person specification also shows what profile the candidate is looking for. This helps applicants figure out whether they have the right skill for the role. Once the firm receives application, they will review them and come up with a short list of the best candidates, for whom they will conduct interviews with. Finally, the firm will provide a job offer to the most suitable candidate and can conduct background checks to ensure the new employee was truthful in their application. There are 2 main methods a firm can use for recruitment. Internal recruitment involves using existing employees to fill vacant roles within the firm. This is a lower risk, lower cost strategy as the firm is already familiar with the employee and can also be a source of motivation for employees who are looking for a promotion opportunity. However, this limits the potential pool of applicants and can cause unnecessary internal competition. The opposite of this is external recruitment, which involves hiring someone from outside of the organization to fill a new role. You can flip the advantages and disadvantages of internal recruitment to get the advantages and disadvantages of external recruitment. Much like you're assessed on your performance in the IB, employees are also assessed on their performance, and this process is called an appraisal. There are 4 main appraisal methods. Formative appraisal take place on a regular basis to help employees better understand their job performance and make improvements. These are similar to your formative assessments at school, like a quiz to see how you're doing in the content you've learned so far. By contrast, summative appraisals are periodic formal reviews of an employee's performance against what is laid out in their role and responsibilities. This is most similar to a summative assessment you might have at school, like a year-end exam that determines your predicted grade. 360-degree feedback involves getting feedback from people above, below, and at the same level as the employee in the hierarchy. This allows for a more holistic view of the employee's performance. Finally, self-appraisal is like a self-assessment. It involves employees evaluating themselves against a preset criteria. To avoid bias, this is often used with other forms of assessments. Finally, we have labor turnover, which measures the average number of staff leaving the organization over a period of time, typically in a year. It is calculated by the formula shown on the screen, which is labor turnover equals to the number of people leaving the firm divided by the average number of employees at the firm. Now, you do need to know how to perform this calculation. A firm will always have labor turnover. In other words, there will always be employees leaving the firm for some reason. This could be due to internal factors, such as poor working condition, low salaries, or external factors, such as competitors offering higher pay, people wanting to move overseas. Businesses try to maintain a stable labor turnover rate, as a high labor turnover rate causes extra costs, and this cost is in the form of the time and money that's needed to recruit and train new staff, and can also raise questions among employees about the future state of the firm. However, some level of labor turnover can be a good thing, as it can lead to the departure of demotivated employees who are then replaced by new employees with new ideas and different ways of thinking. And that concludes the key concepts for this topic. We recommend you to use these 4 steps as part of your study routine. The most important aspects are 1. Knowing your content, 2. Understanding the response structures, and 3. Practicing case studies. Unlike most other courses, only knowing the content will only get you to a level 5 in business management. Knowing your response structures and doing a lot of practice case studies and developing the application skills are key to helping you score a level 7. If at any point you need any personalized help or tutoring for any part of the business management course, from content to response structures to case studies or the IA and the extended essay, feel free to get in touch with us via email or WhatsApp.